Hi again, everyone. I want to spend the next few minutes looking together at our syllabus for our creative writing class. You can pick up a text version on the main page under the syllabus link. This video isn't meant to replace a careful reading of the syllabus. I don't believe in reading a syllabus to someone because could anything be more boring than that? I think not. But I do want to call your attention to a few key elements of how the class will run this semester and highlight those. And then if you have any questions about the syllabus, I invite you to email me directly at jreed@cotty.edu, and I will be glad to discuss any questions that you have with you. All right, so first of all, our textbooks, we will be using those extensively, so you will need a copy of them. I'm using for the fiction part, which will be in the first 8 weeks of the course, a book called Writing Fiction, The Practical Guide from New York's acclaimed creative writing school, edited by Alexander Steele. I looked at probably 20 different fiction books and settled on this one for two reasons. One is it has the basics for crafting a good story in it, written by different people with very good prompts. And so I was looking for something that covered the basics, that would augment the reading that we will do, as well as give us a way to move forward with each writing assignment into something that adds value to what we have already done, as opposed to reinventing the wheel with each lesson. The book for poetry that we'll be using in the second part of the course is Kim Adonisio's Ordinary Genius. I love Kim Adonisio a lot. I have taken an online class with her myself and have used this book many different times in my own practice. So I think you'll get a lot from that book. The other big part of the course that I intend to use is the New Yorker fiction and poetry podcasts. They're free. So if you use the iTunes store or you use Cast or some other kind of host for podcasts, they're free on there. You can also go to the New Yorker podcast on a PC and hear any of the podcasts that have been recorded. And I've chosen this one also for a couple of very specific reasons. One is that to write, you must read. And to write well, you have to understand the craft and the rules that have come before and have come after. You can't break a rule if you don't know what it is and you haven't mastered doing it. And so on the New Yorker fiction podcast and the poetry podcast, the uh, hosts use a current writer, someone who has mastered the craft and has won a number of awards, choose a piece that has meant something to him or her, read it, and then discuss it with the editor of the podcast. And I learn a lot every single time that I listen to one of those. So we'll be using the podcasts and the readings from the stories and poems selected for our own discussion and for our own craft lessons. So, however you want to listen to the podcast is up to you, but I do want you to hear it. And also, the stories, sometimes my mind starts to wander when I'm listening to somebody read something, and I realize 5 minutes later I've missed too much. So, I have downloaded the stories that we will be using and have posted those. We'll be posting them in each week's assignment so that you can have a text version of those stories also. All right, so those are the texts that we'll be using for the course. I'm going to skip over the uh, grading system, the objectives for the course. You can kind of see that and come to this part on how you will earn a grade. All right. That's something that most of us care quite a bit about, right? Um, so you can see the ways in which points will be earned. This class is a workshop. That means that you do not have any tests. You will not be asked to regurgitate anything. You will be asked to write, to critique, to read, and to share what you have created, and then to revise those creations and submit them in a final portfolio. If you do all of those things and you earn all of those points, you get an A, right? Somebody who just phones it in, we will have a discussion about that, you and I, to make sure that we're on the same page about how work is to be done. But anybody who's making a good faith effort and doing the work and does all the work will earn full credit for the course. That's how workshop works. That's how it works in my MFA class, and so I'm good with that. Right? So every week there will be a writing assignment. It will be short and it will be more of a rough draft kind of thing where you are jotting something down in 2 or 3 pages, trying to craft it, but not being obsessive about it. And you're going to get 25 points for each one of those that you do. And my goal in using the Steel book is to work those writing assignments so that they help you develop the full length short story that you'll be creating as part of your portfolio, right? So weekly reading discussions that will come off the podcast with the story that we are reading and will be a discussion board post that you will be asked to do by midnight on Wednesday. And you'll be asked to respond to 2 of your classmates and add value to the classmates' points by Friday at midnight. And that'll be worth 10 points each week. Um, so I also want to call your attention to this critiquing. So this is a workshop, right? No tests. Remember I said that. But when it comes time to critique a student's writing, something that is getting ready to go into a polished draft of a story, everybody needs to participate. We'll be doing a critique. We'll set that calendar up about week 3 or 4 of the course so that you know when your time is coming. And everybody will be expected that week to offer a 250 word, no more than 500, but about a minimum 250 word critique of what you've read, and I will give you instructions for that. But this is really a key part of the course. And so if you don't do that, right, you don't do it, you just skip it. It's not just a 0 for not doing it, it's a point deduction. And I'm doing that as an incentive to make sure that everybody is doing their best work and helping each other do her best work. So critiques are really important. For the short story, 15 to 30 pages that you craft and create, that's worth 200 points. We will have 2 conferences, you and I, during the course of this semester. When you have a draft of your short story and you're ready to polish it up, we'll have a 20 to 30-minute conference to talk about your work and how you might progress with it. You get 50 points for each one of those. We'll do one for poetry as well. When we get to the poetry unit in the second part of the course, we will be writing a new poem, 1 to 2 each week. Again, just like with the short writing assignments in the fiction unit, they will not be polished. You don't have to labor intensively over each one, but you need to create them, to craft them. And if they're crap and you throw them out, you throw them out. That's fine. I throw out probably half of what I write, sometimes more. So, but the point is that you're crafting and you're creating, and you will get 25 points each week for that. The revisions that you will do, and we'll do revisions in poetry just a little bit differently than we do in the fiction unit. You get 25 points for those too. And then your final portfolio that will include your first draft and your revised draft of both your story and your poems will be worth 200 points, and that'll be due at the very end of the semester. So how does that sound to you so far? Right, the video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to end part one and I'll pick up part two um, with a discussion of deadlines and assignment details.